Hey, bitches.
What's up?
I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
And we're going to be giving an appraisal today of one of our favorite films.
That's right. I don't know if you guys can guess what franchise it might be in.
Howard the Duck!
That's right. Howard the Duck. One of the most Oh, we're just fucking with you.
Yeah, but in seriousness, we're going to talk about the Fog franchise. Nah. We're going to talk about Freddy Krueger today. And we might catch a little bit of flack for which one we choose as one of our favorites.
If not maybe my favorite, or maybe yours too.
Probably most watched, at least.
Yeah. That, of course, is
Freddys Revenge.
That's right. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which came out at 1 year after the original. And a new family has moved into the Elm Street house.
The Walshes.
The Walshes. And they're a very nuclear family.
Your favorite Walsh?
My favorite Walsh? Probably the mom, because she stays out of everyone's business.
Hope Lang?
Yeah.
God bless her. God bless her.
But, yeah, very nuclear family. You know, the dad, a mom, a little girl, and a son, and a dog.
God, Clu Gulager is amazing.
Clu Gulager plays the father with his
GDs and...
Yeah, it's a very legendary performance by Clu Gulager. I mean, who many people know now, of course, from the Feast films.
But, you know, the older generation recognizes him as a Western hero.
Yeah. But, of course, you know, our generation got to know him in such films, of course, as Return of the Living Dead and Freddys Revenge. That's what really drove him into the horror genre.
I want to say something pretty unique about this film that I think a lot of other people probably can't say. In our area, in Huntington, West Virginia, represent, we have four of us that regularly watch movies that are friends, pals, compadres, horror fans, and we all love Nightmare 2 enough to quote the shit out of it.
It's probably the most watched horror film that I have. And you and I, how many movies would you say we've seen together?
A few thousand.
Thousands, yeah. It's probably the film that we've watched the most. I mean, I've watched that movie, I think, more than any time I've seen a movie. I think I've seen that movie more times than any.
More than T2?
Yeah, at this point now, yeah.
Man. So
more than Amadeus.
Our friend John was talking to us the other day. Shout out to John McComas.
Yep.
We were talking the other day about one of the things about this movie that really gets us with this, and it's because we saw it as children, and the bus scene scared the poop.
The opening nightmare sequence for Freddy's Revenge is one of, in context, when you're a kid, it's one of the scariest sequences ever filmed.
Riding a bus.
I mean, what's more terrifying than going to school? Of course, you know that's already horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Jesse, and he's all awkward and
the protagonist of the film.
Yeah, which, by the way, played by Mark Patton, is an awesome guy in real life. Haven't yet to meet him, but
holla. In
communication with him online, he is a very splendid fellow.
Yeah, pretty cool guy.
But I mean, you've got this bus ride, which is terrible enough on its own, but it turns into this ultimate nightmare, and it goes driving into the California desert, and
things enter the twilight zone very quickly. It becomes a nightmarish landscape.
But it's got this dark filter over the sunlit sky, which gives it like this classic look.
And I'm sure you're gonna insert a couple pics here, but you know, miniatures. Great miniatures.
The ground gives way to the flaming hell below.
It's just, and you know, they would accomplish the same thing now with CG, and of course, it would lose all of its heart and soul doing that.
But you know, I've paid attention to the subtleties of even the sound mix right there, and if you've got a good sub, you've got the bus on top of the pillars, and rocks are still giving away, and you've got the subtle movement of rocks below you. The sound mix, the way the sub works, you can feel like just like boulders kind of shifting and stuff underneath you, just real subtle. And then Freddy appears, okay, and he's got some smoke coming off of him, you know, because he's hellish. He's the bus driver.
Freddy, it's really cool. I love the
so scary
analogy, you know, or rather metaphor of, you know, Freddy's the bus driver. He's driving the thing. He's in control. You know, there's no question about it that this is his world.
Yeah.
and you're just along for the ride.
A lot of people don't like this movie for a few reasons. The first reason being one of Wes Craven's first reasons to one of his favorite things to point out about the film. I respect Wes Craven and his ability to give us such classics as Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes and A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mad props to Wes Craven.
Even Scream. But you know what? The way he disrespects the second movie.
Really?
By saying Freddy has no business coming into daylight. Has no business exiting the dream world. How dare him?
Well, he contradicts himself then.
He brought Freddy out into the real world in the first movie anyway.
Yeah.
With Nancy, I mean, if all Nancy had to do was grab a hold of him, okay, is it really that hard to believe? And John was pointing this out. I'm going to just take this from him, give him credit.
Okay.
He said it's the natural progression of Freddy. It's only for Freddy to get stronger. Of course, if he's a demon, he can possess someone. He possesses Jesse in this film, and he comes out and he becomes a physical form and a physical force to be reckoned with. Jesse is a possessed person.
Yeah, which really makes it quite different from the other entries in the franchise. You know, this becomes, him, maybe with the exception of, you could say he needed somebody in 5, but that's a different kind of story altogether. But
he was going to be born in a physical body. I mean,
but he takes possession of this kid, and that's what really makes it a unique part of the franchise. He's not completely on his own. He requires Jesse's body to perform these acts. It's like one of the coolest kills in the movie. One of the coolest scenes is, of course, he comes out of. He goes to his friend Rod's house.
Oh yeah, and he dices his way out of Jesse's body.
Or is it Todd?
Oh.
Anyway, he goes to his friend's house. Grady. He goes to Grady's house. And
God.
And of course in his bedroom, Freddy comes out of Jesse, like he basically just forms and like Jesse's body falls off and like awesome prosthetic effects.
Hey, you alright, bro?
Yeah. And then of course Freddy performs this mutilation of him, but then it pans back and everything, and we see Jesse standing there, and Freddy's in the mirror. So that's the thing. It's all perception. Freddy has taken over this guy.
Yeah.
Which like I said, you don't really see another entry in the franchise where he does that. Freddy's very dark in this film.
Dark, evil.
Yeah. In the first film where we're meeting him, you see him more in shadow a lot. I think that really gives him a lot of mystery, with his reveal. But this film, he's a little darker. He's even a little edgier.
He's kind of a hidden trickster in the first one, because he doesn't really rely on his own. I don't know. He kind of lays traps for him in the first one. I feel like he really pulls them through a dream environment, and that's. The first one really uses the dream environment. The second one really just uses his pure evil, I feel like.
The second one uses, I think, the dream environment more of as a fear motivator for Jesse. In a way, it weakens, much in the way that a demon can take over a soul, I think. I think he uses the dreams to weaken the body's resistance to the possession.
That leads me to the next point that people often complain about the film, is the homosexuality of the film. And
if it even does exist, it's a perception.
Well, I think people understand that Mark Patton is, a gay actor, and he himself, if you follow his journal and stuff online that he does, which is awesome, Jesse's Lost Journal, you follow that on Facebook, it's awesome because you learn about the story of Jesse. But Mark Patton has discussed this before, and what more vulnerable time for a teenager than being in a transition of, am I heterosexual? What is my orientation? He is in this completely vulnerable state of mind where he is just easy prey, and he happens to move into Nancy's old house. And he's really just, his body is totally in torment, and he is up for the grabs, really there for taking.
Well, I mean, there's many things that can be construed as homosexual themes throughout the film, which the director himself has even said, I guess in retrospect, I can see how people kind of get that out of this. I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Yeah, but Jack Shoulder didn't.
They weren't going out to make a film that had homosexual themes.
He didn't see that happening as it was happening. He just said, oh, maybe in hindsight that might be viewed as that, but
right.
I think
maybe a gay S&M bar that he stumbles into isn't the.
I think Jack Shoulder was easily convinced that his work was somehow flawed, but I think you know what, I think Jack Shoulder did a really good job on the franchise. He gave us one of my favorite movies of all time.
Certainly one of the most memorable, as opposed to, I think, just my opinion. We can get into this in another segment. As opposed to later entries into the franchise, I think Freddys Revenge, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is way more memorable of a film.
Well, here's the thing. You don't have very many kills in the first movie. Rod Lane we get cheated with his kill. He gets strangled by a blanket in prison or in jail.
That's
like the worst kill in the Freddy franchise.
I agree.
Granted, it's the first movie in the entry, but it's the first movie in the series, but I think we deserved more than that from a Freddy kill. Okay?
How many kills were in the first Nightmare on Elm Street? 3?
Tina, Rod,
and then Glenn. Unless you count Nancy's mom.
And Nancy's mom, but she just kind of turns into a skeleton and falls into the bed, She floats away into the bed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was talking about the end where, he grabs her and pulls her back to the house. Which, by the way,
yeah,
Wes Craven actually never wanted that to be his ending.
Like a trick ending.
Yeah.
But the thing, Mark Patton was really good at showing vulnerability and portraying. People make fun of his screams and stuff. Give us a scream. Give us a Mark Patton scream.
I really couldn't.
Come on, give us your best scream. Give us your best scream. Come on.
I can't do it. It actually hurts to try. He screams like a girl in the movie.
But I buy his performance as legitimate. Okay, and
yeah.
I don't doubt for 1 minute that Mark Patton didn't give us every ounce of his energy for that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that was the other thing too. As opposed to most other entries in the franchise, it also had a male protagonist, whereas most other entries, of course, have a female protagonist.
We call he's referred to as a scream queen today.
He is,
along with Linnea Quigley and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So, his girlfriend in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
God love her. She's just so adorable. You don't want to kiss her.
The love interest between the two of them
is such an awkward thing.
It does. It appears so awkward.
And I think that's a lot to do with Mark Patton's own distress.
It could be.
At that time.
Yeah. The cabana scene though, where they're kind of making out.
That nasty turd tongue comes out.
And that tongue lolls out under her, is it under her stomach? Is that what it is? Anyway, yeah. We'll show a picture of it. That was pretty disgusting. That could have been symbolism of his own disgust with what he was doing. Talking about homosexual themes, he's making out with a girl, and he gets sick. What else about this movie really catches your imagination and attention?
Well, also you have this dark character Freddy, but also nowhere else in the franchise do you have a side character that is as sinister as Schneider, the gym coach.
Oh my gosh, played by
the guy in Twins. The
bad guy in Twins. and Quato in Total Recall. I hate that we don't know his name. We'll give him a shout out later. He's been in a ton of movies. But yeah, total scary, terrifying. He's what high school nightmares are made out of.
He is. You're scared enough to go to school, and then you've got this guy that, man. And the scene, question. Okay, he has Jesse hit the showers after he's punishing him.
Uh-huh.
Do you think he had him go to the showers and he was going to bring him back to his office and, molest him? Or do you think that he was literally just getting his shit ready for the next day?
We've had this, we've had this conversation. Like, and you'll have to show a picture. He's like getting like stuff ready. He's getting supplies. He's got like rope and stuff.
Jump ropes.
It's kind of creepy, and he's got it like, yeah, I'm gonna do something with this, like right now. Honestly, that's what it's the imagination. It's the imagination that terrifies me. I think he was, man. I think this guy was kind of evil.
That's what I mean. You don't have another.
So, what do you think?
Honestly, I don't know. It's the expression on his face. He's just kind of nonchalantly chewing his gum. I kind of feel like
because he's a complete sadist. They do that stuff nonchalantly without their heartbeat ever raising.
He is a sadist, but I feel like if he was getting ready to get his rocks off, he probably would have been like, yeah, kind of like ready to get prepared, getting ready to have fun.
Well, I feel that something bad was going to happen to Jesse. Okay, take this view on it. Okay, something bad was getting ready to happen to Jesse. Okay, so the Freddy part of him reacted as a survival mechanism, not to let harm come to him.
I feel like it was a confidence booster, and that little bit of confidence.
So then everything starts happening to Schneider. Everything starts attacking him. He gets dragged to the showers, and then Jesse becomes Freddy.
People make fun of that scene because Schneider gets whipped with a towel, but I mean, come on, look at the rest of the series.
Yeah.
All right, he spoon feeds a girl until she blows up.
Yeah.
A guy turns into a paper comic and he cuts him up.
Yeah.
Part 5.
Yeah.
There's stuff in all of them that is stupid, but I mean, it's part of the love of the dream world, But dying naked with your body against a tile wall in a gym.
There's not.
Fuck.
There's not a lot of. Shoot, I forgot.
Do you have a favorite line in the movie?
I have a favorite line of Freddys Revenge. There's the obvious one, but let me think. I mean, my favorite line, it's not necessarily a great line. It's kind of cheesy. It's just because it accompanies the effect of when he encounters Jesse in the hallway in his nightmare.
So it's not a Clu Gulager line.
It's not a Clu Gulager line.
It's goddamn terrible.
Goddamn cherry bomb. Oh, that's what he.
How could it be a Clu Gulager line in a Freddy movie? But it's of course the great scene where he peels back his skull. He says, "You've got the body and I've got the brain," and you see just like Freddy's disgusting, slimy face.
We got special work to do with you and me.
Yeah, very terrifying. What about you?
Well, I just want to comment on that scene. I love how they filmed that scene with him. Daddy can't help you now.
Mm-hmm.
And the way when you see Freddy, you can tell they've got something held up over his face, or held behind them, with holes cut out for his eyes, like so that this piece of material is blocking whatever light source is in the shot. Okay, and they have holes cut out to where the light just shines on his eyes, and it makes. I don't know.
You'll have to show a still of it.
Gives him that extra sinister look, and his face is slimy, and he's just scary looking.
Mm-hmm.
But I just. Really, it speaks to that helplessness of being in a dream. Daddy can't help you now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the themes of the film, speak true today. I think, changing lifestyles, being scared of anything that's new. It's really, I'll tell you, this film is almost an allegory for puberty.
That's what I mean about vulnerability. Whether it's homosexuality, whether it's
it doesn't matter.
Trying to get a girlfriend, you're vulnerable.
Doesn't matter what you are into. I mean, it's a movie that really deals with that period of your life and how scary and terrifying it can become. All of a sudden you hit puberty, you hit your sexual peak, and you become this monster.
We go back to The Exorcist a lot.
Yeah.
Think about Reagan on the edge of getting her period. Okay, she's vulnerable. She's going into puberty. She's a target for a demon possession.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of times they say people entering puberty are very vulnerable to that kind of attack.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my most quoted lines, and I think that this is probably my favorite line, is when Freddy is waiting on Lisa to turn around. After he's already possessed Jesse. He's waiting on her. He's got his hand behind the plates.
Yeah.
And as soon as she turns around, he goes, "Ah!" and he knocks him off the wall or off the hutch.
Yeah.
And she says she wants Jesse, and he says, "There is no Jesse!"
I'm Jesse now.
Yeah. I'm Jesse now.
I'm Jesse now.
Yeah.
And he kicks a plate because he's pissed off.
Yeah. He totally destroys her Corningware. It's terrifying. I got a question for you.
All right.
What did you think about the music in this film?
Christopher Young is fucking awesome. He added. That's probably one of the reasons this movie seems so dark. It's not any kind of new wave music. It's not even fantasy type kind of dreamy, like, you know, kind of going up and down motions. Like, and don't get me wrong, Charles Bernstein's score is fucking awesome too, but the Christopher Young's score is all about scare, and we know how he rolls. He did Hellraiser. He gave us that wonderful metallic clang sound, and he offers us a lot of that too in this movie. And this precedes that Hellraiser, that wonderful good movie. But Christopher Young did an awesome job, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Sells the movie. Funniest line for you. Line that makes you laugh every time in Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Let's see. It's not really. It's not a line. It's the scene where shit. It's the scene where Grady wraps the snake around his neck while he's sleeping, and like he looks over and he just gives him the really catty. Like
and Grady laughs like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I like that.
I think it's a very funny moment. Kind of breaks up the
heart.
Yeah.
I like almost all of Clu Gulager's lines in this movie, but damn it, it's not methadone. It's methadone.
Yeah. He's a methadone clinic.
Oh wow.
And also, how stupid. I know that we're suspending disbelief in a horror film, but how stupid would you have to be?
He's a cherry bomb
to think that somebody could put a cherry
bomb in a parakeet's butt?
In a parakeet's butt, and then it just blows up?
Yeah, how did he light it? It was covered up when he came in the room.
Yeah.
My God, it is hot as an oven in here.
Yeah. So, anyway, closing remarks about Freddys Revenge?
People that are afraid of this film because of being homophobic or whatever. Get a grip. Enjoy the film.
Yeah.
Be a horror fan. It's one of the best Freddy entries.
Absolutely. And like I said, all that stuff is just a perception. When I saw that Freddy 2, Freddy's Revenge was the first Freddy film I saw as a kid. I never got anything like that out of it, nor did I really get much of it growing up when I saw it later. It was only when I actually started reading kind of about it I even thought about it. So,
and Mark Patton is on my list of most wanted, most desired people to meet at a horror con. So
yeah, he would be cool.
Can't wait to see him someday and get a picture with him in a glove.
Yeah.
So that's it, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
great film. If you're new to the Nightmare series, definitely check out all the original Nightmare movies.
Watch it with the lights off. Get yourself nice and scared.
Yeah, great atmosphere. It's just remember that some franchises should never be touched or remade.
All right, guys. I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
Sleep tight, fuckers.
All right. Good night.